Hey everyone, Gil here of GrayManPrepping, and welcome to Tactical Tuesday. Tonight's topic is waterborne diseases in disasters and other times. So, Dave, it looks like Dave's not going to be joining us tonight. Al was saying he had some possible food poisoning, and so and Bruce should be joining us here shortly. He said he'd be up here shortly, so we'll see how long it takes for him to get here. And one of the things I wanted to point out before we jump into this, for those that are here early, all you good guys. Okay, hang on, what's here? Okay, I got a problem here of Facebook, that Fakebook acting up here, not wanting to recognize StreamYard's access again. That's been happening to several people this week so far.
Yeah, they're getting hacked, and also it's what upstairs with the.
Well, part of it is that YouTube, Facebook had done some changing to their stuff again, and StreamYard put out a notification when I was setting this up that Facebook is cropping all the thumbnails, the thumbnails we make up for the video, cropping them all weird and everything else, and doing other stuff to it, and just screwing around with stuff. Again, it did it about a year and a half ago, and it took about 2 weeks for it to get straightened out. But
right,
they were screwing with StreamYard and. What was the other one? They were one of the other companies they were messing with too.
Think NBC or
no. It's like Streamlabs or something like that.
Right, Melon.
Yeah. Melon wasn't around then. But anyways, so that's what's So anyway, some things are a little weird going on with some of the platforms. I keep getting messages popping up here in front of me saying, we can't get through to Facebook. It's blocking us. Anyway, so this topic of waterborne diseases and disasters, whenever I start to talk about stuff like this, people automatically jump to
Froze again. Still frozen and muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to unplug my camera for a second and plug it back in. So, Al, you'll be up there by yourself for a minute.
No problem. And hi, Mary Beth. Everybody just call me Uncle Al right down there. And we're going to be talking about disaster water. And we have to be very careful when we're talking about this. And Gil will explain the highlights of it.
Yeah. So when I start to do this type of topic, even if it's a general conversation, everybody jumps to one conclusion. Oh, you're talking about hurricanes. And the time run-ups after hurricanes and the storms and stuff. And I'm like, no, it's not just the southeastern United States. It happens everywhere. And we're going to get into that in a little bit here. So this affects everywhere. And one of the last slides I have shows areas you would not believe that are having impact of waterborne diseases due to non-water disasters. So stick around for that one. So first of all, let's say hi to everybody that's in here. First one that came in a long time ago was Backwoods Law. Then Maccabeus Everyday Survival. Kaylin Strain. Hugo Homestead, that's CB. Red is here. Laura B. Garden State Gardener. Everyone's chit-chatting. See who else is Mary Beth Smith is here. Gardner Josh is here. And those are all the only ones that are making comments. We got a few more out there that are lurking. That's fine. Lurkers, hey, how you doing? Hope you learned something. Everybody, if you think other people might be interested in this, go ahead and share this out. And let's jump into the slideshow here and put it over here. Boom. So waterborne diseases in disasters. And like I said, it's not necessarily a water disaster that causes waterborne diseases, but for the most part, we'll start there at that point. So like I said, everybody thinks, oh, hurricane, aftermath of hurricanes, all the flooding. That's what you're talking about, waterborne diseases. Partially talking about it that way. That's just one source. Where we have the all the water run up and settling around afterwards. But there are some other ones, just regular rain, heavy duty flooding rainstorms. But hey, everyone thinking, southern states, what about Pennsylvania after Ida came through? Oh no, what happened up there in Pennsylvania? That's not a hurricane state.
Nope. And folks in the Southwest and Northwest, we have floods like this. And you can see what happened to that gentleman.
All right. I noticed I pulled this up first when I saw this because I thought, this is funny, an idiot not paying attention. He's riding in the wrong spot to begin with. He should be farther towards the intersection to where the crosswalk is. And he's hitting the deep spot where the storm drain is. But I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. But if you look at the car out here in the middle, the water's up to his bumper. And there's the one over here on the far right, way out there in the distance, the water's up to it. So there's, water all over the place. And this guy is not paying attention of his surroundings. And he gets hurt. So here's another one here. And this one here, I put this one up specifically because there's a secret message here. So this is a garbage can. What does the inside of garbage cans look like and smell like? They're nasty. They got goo growing all over the place. And during storms and floods and stuff, all that bacterial goo and stuff goes downstream even without being inside of a garbage can, being carried down, taking that petri dish with it down to another part of the
I have to mention
area.
One thing. If you're the idiot prepper channel who said, I could drink dumpster water, this is a good example with a life straw. That man should not be on channel.
Yeah. So, but as you can see, it's going down. Water levels are high. And this is carrying, this is what you can see. You're not telling what's in the water, all the crap and stuff in the water, literally. All right, let's go to the next slide here. Now, I got a frozen picture because I didn't think you actually wanted to see what was coming up out of that toilet. But you can see the water splashing around at the bottom, over it. So water's coming out of that toilet.
Remember why? What I told you? Go ahead.
Yeah. So think about it. The water pressure in the sewer pipe is pushing it out of this toilet. Elsewhere in the building, the water could be higher. Hardly. Look at that. That's any toilets in this area are going to have pressure pushing it to other areas.
Remember Linda Blair shooting out of the toilet.
So this is, there are floods and stuff areas other than where the hurricanes are at. They get flash floods down in LA, up there in the Angeles National Forest that are like this.
Big time.
And then this one's kind of interesting. All right, you look at the street in the background here. It's up here. Oh, it's dry back here. Oh, semi-dry. It's just got rain on and stuff. But here's water's coming out of one of the storm drain or sewers. And looking at that, looking like toilet paper, I'm thinking this is a sewer hatch cover.
Yep.
So if it's coming out there, why is it coming out there? Because somewhere upstream, water's getting into the sewer and overloading the sewer and pushing more water down than the sewer system can handle. And so it starts bubbling up down below.
Oh, and another thing, folks, on these things, be very careful because if your sewer pressure is too high, they'll blow that 75-pound lid off. And then you have a 3-foot hole that you go, well, it doesn't look too deep. Boom.
Okay, I got remove. There we go. Okay, I got another one of those fake book notices up saying that, oh, we lost contact with fake book. Hey, PGE. So we have prepping to endure here. All right. So in your sewer lines, areas that are upstream, sometimes when they start getting flooded upstream a little bit, or the streets and stuff, they get into the sewers, and the water starts coming downhill with everybody's normal toilets flushing and everything else. And when you get downstream, all of a sudden it's more than the pipes can handle, and now you got water bubbling out in certain places. And then what the other thing happens is you start getting other debris in where they actually blow the lids off, but it blows off and then it siphons back down again, and then it starts sucking branches and stuff get down in there, and it plugs up farther down in, and then the whole system starts backing up. So that's the thing. So you've got material coming up out of there. And of course, this is what happened in New York after Ida went through. And that's water boiling up out of a pipe in the background there. We'll get back to it again here. So there it is in the background. There's a close-up of that water boiling up. Sorry about the quality of this. This is what they posted on the web. People using their cameras, the cameras and texting videos to each other and stuff. So the quality gets lowered down when you text it. So that's
right.
what's going on there.
This is surface water, folks. Because if it was subway water, they'd be all dead. Because what's the third rail?
Yeah, electrified. So right now, this is coming up out of storm drains from up above. And fortunately, the drainage system down below the train is getting the water away from that third rail. All right, let's go to the next one here. This one, most people don't realize that a lot of sanitary, your mic's in your nose.
Oh, sorry.
A lot of sewer treatment plants are still the old-fashioned evaporation ponds. And what happens when those ponds get flooded? Well, it looks like this. All of a sudden, instead of being able to see some ponds out there, you see water, 5 feet higher than the ponds. And so that means all that sewage that was in those ponds has now is flowing away with all this water. So are we getting about there? Okay. And all that sewage water flowing away, and what are some people doing that aren't thinking in disasters? Hey, let's get out of here. Let's trudge through the water. Not exactly a bright idea. If they realized how much poo was in that water they're trudging through, they would never have left their house. All right, and then here's the next one here, folks. I think borders on child endangerment, personally. If a parent allows their child to go outside and play in floodwaters, they should be teaching their children, don't go out there. There's all sorts of poo flowing around in that water, whether it's from their own septic tanks or the sewer systems or whatever. It's, there's water out there these kids are in is not clean. This
right.
water
and
is
they
not
have
clean.
Cattle or pets. Like Fido's are right around the corner of the house. Kids, let's go play.
Yeah, Fido's poo's all floating around.
Yeah.
All right. So the next thing here we're going to go into. All right, now we're going to get into the science a little bit before we get, we've got a couple science things, and then we're going to get into some more open free chat and more information. I just noticed Mary Beth's comment. Maybe I should not be eating while watching this.
True.
Actually, I purposely did not put some of the more graphic ones in here.
Right.
And P2E puts out a point here of oils and chemicals as well in that water that those kids were playing in. All right. So you got the columns here. The far left column is the pathogens. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce some of these scientific names they printed here of what some of these are. But basically, this first one here, associated disease, diarrhea, and gastroenteritis. Health significance high. Persistence in drinking water supplies is moderate.
Moderate. Yep.
Now the second one here, which I'm not going to try to pronounce, has diarrhea and reactive arthritis.
That's
it's high as
joints,
well.
Right. That's where your joints swell up, folks.
Yeah. And then the persistence in drinking water is long.
Yeah, because it's hard to kill, and chlorine does not kill this bug.
It takes other chemicals.
Yeah.
All right, and then you start getting to the
E. coli
yeah, all the E. coli families, all these other ones. So you got acute diarrhea, bloody diarrhea, and gastroenteritis, high, moderate persistency. And this goes on through on these ones out here. And
right, but there's two of them I have to explain. That one right there, it may multiply, but it has to be in a higher temperature. Keep telling this to people. There's three of them that has to be in a higher temperature. The Burke one is one. You have to be like in Louisiana, Georgia, Missouri, Mississippi, Florida, the Carolinas.
Alabama.
Yeah. It has to be hot enough so they may multiply. See on the is that right or left? The blue.
Right, the right side.
Yeah, may multiply because of the heat. If it was in Alaska, no way in hell. It's too cold for them. They remain dormant. You could drink a whole bottle of it, won't affect you.
And we have Bland's Promise Land Ranch has come in. Hey, how's it going? Emma 3010. Hi, Emma. All right, so basically, if you want to see this image here, just Google high level of bacteria and into Google and go to the images. And it'll be one of the ones you can pull up and save it for yourself to reference later.
Right. And don't eat while you're looking at it. It'll make you really sick, especially the Presto bleh.
Yeah. Okay. So this was someone else's little scientific little thing they put up there. So I figured I'd grab it. And this is types of waterborne diseases by the percentages of which they're reported. And I can't. This is a type of diarrhea, but it's the way at the end of it there's
it's an English term.
Okay,
it's not the American one.
Yeah, 35% of the of the diseases is that type of a disease thing. I don't know why they put typhoid over here. It should be way down the other end.
Yeah,
but you got your different types of fevers, your yellow fever, scarlet fevers, type ones, that are associated with water diseases, cholera, dysentery. The skin diseases are range from anywhere from the rash to the flesh-eating type.
Right.
Malaria, hepatitis, and of course you had typhoid. But so these can be what's the word I'm looking for? Exacerbated, whatever, magnified by the fact that there is been a water disaster, flooding and stuff, and now you got sewage water up there and other unclean water contaminating the clean water sources people normally drink from.
Right, like your city water supply, and if your town gets well water, this what Gil says, this because most places well water is not treated. It may go through a charcoal filter system, but it isn't chlorinated.
Right. Hey, Albany Mountain Homestead. All right, so let's go to the next thing here. Now, I hit several different websites, including the CDC. I don't know why I went to the CDC the way they've been lying to us, but that's another story. But they all had basically the same definitions here, posted as the main types of things to worry about for waterborne diseases here in the United States. The diarrheal diseases, and talks about it. And I'm not going to try to pronounce.
It's a relative of cholera, so don't worry about that, folks. And then you have the whatchamacallit, E. coli family. We won't explain that one because I have a book on E. coli for animals. It's a long book.
Yeah, E. coli. We all know about E. coli and how the contamination gets into certain vegetable plants to get runoff from animal manure and stuff that isn't properly dried out first.
Right. And also, people peeing on the plants doesn't help either.
Yeah. So, but the middle one here, now we're getting down into the hepatitis A and E. All right. And so both of them are also known as fecal/oral transmission, especially in poor water sanitation. What that means is somebody poops in the water and you drink the water, you pull water from there, and you take it into your mouth. That's what that means.
Right. Let me, before we go to the next one, what's the biggest problem with city pools and public pools and private swimming pools? Is this
the little kids pee in there, and the kids with diapers on poo in the diapers, and they stay in there, and it's sloshing through the diaper a little bit, and yeah. So yeah.
Also, another thing is we had outbreaks in Los Angeles because people were using the, those reflective ponds and pools. A lot of people were getting hepatitis A and E because they drank the water from the pool.
Yeah. All right, and the last one here is the leptospirosis. That one I actually looked that up and Googled how to pronounce it for you. So, and that one is a bacterial zoonosis transmitted through contact of mucous membranes and skin with water, moist vegetation, and or dirt contaminated with rodent urine.
Right. In other words, it's rabbit fever, and it has to be in proper conditions. Where I live, this is fairly common. But if you go to the south or if you go to the northeast, it's not as common. But in the west, it's common because we have jackrabbits.
Yeah, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Wyoming, Colorado,
any kind of rodent.
Texas and New Mexico, Arizona, yeah. Because you also have your prairie dogs out there and other ones that spread it as well.
Yeah, like armadillos. I forgot about that. Armadillos will spread this thing. It doesn't affect the armadillo. It just gives it the trots.
And so then it spreads it.
And it spreads it. And all I think, I ate something bad.
Yeah.
And get sick.
Now, the next thing I have here. All right. Now, this is from New Mexico Environmental Health. And basically they are talking about well water here. And it goes through, you may want to just, if you're really interested in learning about well water safety, you may want to, New Mexico Environmental Public Health Tracking, just go ahead and download this like I did, and that way you can look it up and have it as a reference later. Coliform bacteria are environmentally natural and are usually not harmful. However, when it shows up in your well water after testing, it could be a sign that there are other organisms also in your water. Organisms include bacteria, parasites, and viruses found in human or animal waste that can make people sick. In other words, something's leaching into the ground near the well.
Right. Like your septic tank.
Yeah, the leach lines aren't laid out properly, or somebody moved the animal hutches or the cattle and horses uphill from the well. It could be the runoff could be coming down towards the well, leaching into the ground and getting into the well water. And this talks a little about stuff you can do. So if you are interested,
froze,
yeah. Like I said, go to the New Mexico Environmental Public Health Tracking, and you can download this. There's their website right there, nmtracking.org.
Right. And I have to tell people, if you own a farm and ranch and it's an older farm, 100 years old, find out where they have the garbage pits and the outhouses.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people back then didn't know. My family died from scarlet fever, and we can't figure out why. Well, I'll go to the outhouse next to the well. Duh.
All righty. So the next one now. All right. This is a compiled report dating from 1970 to 2014. Yes, they haven't updated. I couldn't find an updated one, but there probably is one out there. These are reported, the reported count of waterborne outbreaks, not cases. Not one case here, one case. This is an outbreak, a whole friggin' mess of cases. All right. And where they occurred at. So camps and campgrounds took up 35% is where the reported outbreaks were. And if you've ever been in certain campgrounds, you'll notice they move the outhouses occasionally. And of course, the idiots sometimes when they dig and remove the outhouse, don't realize they're getting too close to the well they're pulling the water from for that campsite, for that campground. I never could find out what this other was, but it counts 25%. It's probably everything else added together that's not in the rest of this here.
I put most likely for old farms and ranches for the 20%, Gil.
Yeah, it could be. All right, so you got restaurants. Restaurants, 17% of outbreaks occur in restaurants. And there could be bad sanitations, bad dishwasher, not cycling the water out properly, whatever. Resorts comes up with 10%. Schools, 7%. Parks and picnic grounds for your city park and picnic grounds, 5%. Lodges and cabins, 5%. Again, probably because the septic tank and leach lines aren't set up properly.
Right. But
hotels and motels. I was able to find out a little bit about this because we talked about this when I was still at work. Let's take Hurricane Ida for example. It going through, and there's a lot of areas were affected. And a hotel motel comes back online, and they start, doing their water and stuff, not realizing that the water system has to be totally flushed because it's been contaminated from the source, and they don't want to spend the money or the time to flush the water system. And so what happens? People start checking in, and all of a sudden they have an outbreak because the water hasn't been properly flushed beforehand, and it still has some contamination in it.
Right.
Hey, Suburban Hillbilly.
Hi, Suburban Hillbilly. A good example, go to Motel 6 in Mexico. That's a good example.
Yeah. Well, that's a totally different problem down there. That's a daily occurrence. But, Suburban Hillbilly puts out a point. Ice machines that don't get cleaned properly. Some of these bacteria can live in pretty cold temperatures. All right, let's see what comes up after this one. Oh, all right. This is what I was going to talk about. I mentioned in the very beginning before I even started the slideshow. All right, this is 2017. These are weather and climate disasters that are actually had. Let me go and drop this off here. There we go. As a problem attached to it, an increase of waterborne diseases. Now you can see, you look at it, okay, hurricanes down here on the bottom. Yeah, you got hurricanes. Oh, you got the severe weather in the Midwest. Yeah, extra rain. Yeah, we can figure out that. Tornadoes. Well, tornadoes would damage buildings and sewers from those buildings. Stuff. Things got damaged and stuff. So you would have other problems. The water towers get damaged. So there's things that get damaged. They repair it. They don't clean the water system out, and you get problems. Now, what really froze again. What was amazing to me is these ones in the Northwest. The North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana drought in spring and fall through the fall of 2017. They actually start when they, for the amount of water they had in certain areas, that water was suddenly becoming contaminated. The reason is they didn't have enough water flowing through for the normal runoff. Water became stagnant and sitting where the creeks would run. Now you had these little pools of stagnant water there. And so there was bacteria growing in it because it wasn't flowing water. Then you got the California and Oregon western, wildfires here. that had the same problem because after the wildfires and stuff, you had dead animals that didn't make it out of the fire, a lot of them. And then when the rains came, all of a sudden you had these bloated bodies flowing into the streams and stuff, into the rivers, where a lot of municipalities were pulling their water from.
Also, ashes and anything that were burnt in the fire that floated with the dead animals.
Yeah. So there could be more than just floods or hurricanes causing a problem with the water. You have to look at the entire ecosystem around it. What is affecting the ecosystem? What is changing in what normally was clean water? Why could the water now be contaminated? All right. And I think...
Oh, so you want to hear something funny, Gil? Yeah. The lady that was...
What did you drink?
The lady that was setting the fire in Northern California, saying she was trying to boil out the bear urine out of the creek water. Yeah, nobody bought that, including the defense attorney.
He probably says you can use that if you want to go for an insanity plea. So when it comes to any disasters that you are involved with, natural, man-made, whatever, there are probably going to be impacts in that area to the ecosystem and the water supply. Something that just came to mind when I said man-made was Rockland, Illinois. The lubricant production facility up there, when it had a fire, there was black ash spread for miles and miles around that place.
Yeah, so some areas, the pond water kind of looked like this.
Mm-hmm. And so with that, Howie's here. Hey, Howie.
Hi, Dave.
Yeah, Dave came in too. So with and Dave actually mentioned this on some of his live streams, my live streams, a year and a half ago, when he lived at the old place at the apartment. He talked about the creek nearby, how contaminated it was from the steel mill. Just from the air and all the stuff settling into that creek. So you have to be aware of what's the word I'm looking for? Like I said, your micro environment around you dealing with water sources. Now, the other thing too is you have creeks and stuff that are flowing with contaminations, 10, 15 miles away, flowing down. And as more creeks come together, it widens, and sometimes it speeds up, sometimes it widens out, slows down. And the water starts... With more water, there's more pressure to push water into the soil. So now you're getting more inundation of any chemicals or microbes or bacteria from, 20, 15 miles away coming downstream to where you're at now. And that can get down into the water supply.
Right.
Hey, Jay.
Hi, Jay. This happens in Kaylin's area. She lives in Idaho. Or is it Iowa? It's Iowa. Their water's full of cattle nitrates and agricultural nitrates. So some areas, those wells you cannot drink because of nitrate concentration. And I have to warn people, I can't see it in there. Uncle Al drinks a lot of green and brown chunky water. You want to drink a glass full of clear nitrate water? Go ahead. I'm not going to the hospital.
Yeah, speaking of nitrates, thank you for bringing that up, Al. I was talking with the city's maintenance guy that's in charge of maintaining the city's well supply here, the city of Bay Salt's on two wells. One's close to town, one's farther away. The one farther away is the backup, and they try not to use it because it's farther out into the agricultural area, and the nitrate level in that well is a lot higher from about June through December. And so, and it only after you start getting the fall, a lot of fall rains and the first winter snows, that snow would melt and they start soaking into the ground and percolate down and flush out the nitrates and get enough water getting down into the aquifer to flush it out.
Right.
The level of that one drops to a much safer level. And so they don't use that one until the level on that water is down. I mean, the level of nitrates in that water is down to the point that it's safer than the
Right.
well in town.
Let me explain this carefully, folks. During the summer, nitrates are salt. So hotter the ground is, more salts form from the nitrated water. When it's winter, it's colder. It dissolves faster in water, but it leaches out faster, so you don't have the higher concentration. Because if you get too high of concentration, nothing drinks the water, including the plants.
And what's interesting is, since he told me that, I've been researching this. Hey, off the wall prepper and Hedgehog Homestead. Hey, how's it going? So one of the things that if you have that most people don't check on their wells is the nitrate levels. And of course, now it's becoming more prevalent, especially if you're near any type of agricultural area where there's cattle or they're doing fertilized spraying of fields and stuff.
Right. Injection fertilization.
There is a system for removing nitrites and nitrates from the water. It's similar to a water softener, only instead of the microbeads they use in there that are charged to remove the calcium and the stuff out of the water.
Right.
These actually absorb the nitrates and nitrites, and then it does the flush thing with the I can't remember the name now, the chemical name. It's a different little bit than the water softener salt.
Right.
They add to it, and it flushes it and cleans the beads off again, and then they can basically recharges them, and they can pull all more of the nitrates out.
What it is the nitrates positive, the beads are negative. So what happens is, and then you do it all over again.
Yeah. So if anybody out there is on well water, it's something to check. It's worth it to check to see what your nitrates and nitrites levels are, and find out what the safe levels is and everything. Do your research with your local county or state university extension office to find out what you're supposed to be, and then you can get your water tested and make sure they test for nitrates and nitrites, and then you find out whether or not you need to worry about that. All water has some level of nitrates and nitrites in them, but when it gets up to a certain point is when it starts affecting people.
Right. Now, folks, understand this very clearly. Hi, Courtney. The big thing is when you test your well water, there's other factors you have to test, because if you're in the East Coast states or Central states, two things you have to test for. If it was near an old garbage pit, if it's near a cemetery. Because a lot of people, what's wrong with I have a seep here that we're near a cemetery. Do you know what the water smells like in the winter when that thing's full?
I can imagine.
Right, because dead people leaches out juice that mixed with the groundwater that seeps into it.
And if you want look something up interesting, folks, I'm not going to tell you the answer to this one. Go do the research on this one. Back 75 years ago and 100 years ago, what were they using for the newfangled embalming fluid? Don't tell them, Uncle Al.
I know.
Guys, go look it up. So historic embalming fluids and other things they used to use to help preserve the dead before anti-froze. So they think.
Can I say the other two things, not the one we're thinking of?
Okay.
Arsenic and mercury.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people are looking, I didn't know they used mercury. Yeah, because after the Civil War, they had to ship all these carcasses back home, and they didn't have refrigerated cars. So how you take care of it? With a lot of arsenic and a lot of mercury.
All right.
Oh, there
All
you
right.
go.
Southern Hillbilly threw it out there.
Yeah, Suburban Hillbilly wins the
Suburban.
prize. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, he got the prize right there. And then there were some other chemicals they used to play with before that were also as well. So when you're if you're on well water anywhere, a good survey of not only your land but surrounding lands. Take note of where water flows to. You can find out from either the county or the state. They trace the aquifer flow directions. Because you may think the water would be flowing east to west when it's actually flowing north to south because of the way the subterranean levels are and stuff. And so instead of looking to the east to see if there's any contamination, oh, I got to look to the north. Oh, wait a minute. That's where the county dump is 5 miles away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Homestead Aquarius, how's it going?
Hey, Robert. Another thing, folks, if you're in an area like Oklahoma where they have fracking, it may change the water table and the water gases in there. So you be very careful because I have a friend of mine, it's flammable and it's full of typhoid. So that's two kinds of things you don't want to drink out of the water. Flammable fluid type of water and water that has typhoid in it. It's not a good combination.
Yeah. Jay, yeah, very funny, Jay. I'm going to put up there just so I can get at the, hey, if your well smells like sulfur, you've drilled too deep and you're tapped into Satan's water. No, it's not. Because we had a well in Contra Costa County, California, that the bottom of the well was 190 to 200 feet deep. Generally, the water table level was anywhere from 75 to 120 feet. And for several years there, we had a lot of sulfur. And what we found out is that the water table or the water aquifer shifted naturally for something during one of earthquakes and was going to an area and was moving the sulfur from the sandstone in the area.
Right. Sorry. Oh, another thing, also in the Southwest, a lot of places like Arizona and New Mexico had, guess what? Uranium mining. So you got tailings from that. So you have to test the water to see if you have uranium in the water or that wonderful glow in the dark water.
Well, along the same lines, California, where all the gold mines were, they were using
mercury
and sulfuric acid.
Yep.
For freeing the gold from the stone. After they using the crushers and mixing their stuff, and a lot of the tailings and stuff there are contaminated. And even in Nevada, Colorado, and Wyoming, in some of the mines, the old abandoned mines, these things were mined out. They did not fill the mines in. The tunnels are still there, and because there's air getting back into there and the leaching and stuff, you're getting chemical reactions, and the water coming out of those mines, very beautiful looking water, very colorful. You don't want to touch it. I'm gonna look something up here just a second here real quick.
They have one on whatchamacallit, on the Superfund site, that bright blue lake. It's colored like turquoise. It's under the Superfund for EPA.
Let's see what I can bring up here. Images. Okay, here we go. Look at all that brightly colored water, all those really neat colors and everything there. The blues, the bright oranges, the
yellows,
greens, and oh, wait a minute. It's in Colorado. Hey, they're kayaking in contaminated water.
Now they won't have kids.
And you can see the different. I'm going to see if I can. Hang on. Let me just save this and so I can bring it up bigger here. There we go. And I can enlarge it here for you. Look at that. Now that's coming out of a mine up above, and that colored water. It looks really cool. It looks really beautiful. But you don't want to. But you notice there's very little there's a little bit of vegetation on the far right here, but next to water, there's no vegetation growing.
No. And I also have to say, people, what happened this year in the Merced River, and I keep telling people, filters do not filter out blue-green algae. It's a toxin. That's the one, if you look below, it's one of the pictures. It's pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to be very careful when you go to mine sites and creeks or river near them or drainage ponds. You don't know what's in the water. Okay, folks? And it could be like this, beautiful green and blue.
Yeah.
And I have one of these Prestomatic filters. It'll filter 10,000 gallons of dirty water. That's why we found 4 people.
Yeah.
Oh, well, actually.
And they were using their life straw.
Right.
It did not work.
Or the, whatchamacallit, those little filter things that you pump. Oh, and boiling does not get rid of the toxin because the fool who drank his coffee made from that stuff.
All right. Let me go ahead and pop this one up here, make it large. All right. So this is the tailing from a mine up on the mountainside here. And this is what's the water leaching out of the mine, and it's staining. So it is staining the soil here. And you notice this is one of these mines that have been shut down for years, but still on the tailings here, there's no trees growing.
Nope, everything's dead.
It's all. I mean, there's a tree. I don't know if you can see it, but right here, where my cursor's moving, there's a dead tree there.
Yeah.
And it's where it started to grow and it died.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of water safety stuff to be concerned with.
Right, but we're going to be concerned with 7 common water diseases after a disaster, folks. This is important. Okay, we won't go into the other 4. Yeah, the other 4 because it has to have right conditions for them. But the main one you have to worry about is typhoid. Typhoid's throughout the United States, and yes, it's a rare occurrence. But if you have a weak immune system, like if you're a child, or if you're elderly, or you had one of the jabs and all of a sudden you don't feel good, and it's not from the jabs, you just drank contaminated water, you have typhoid fever. Mm. It always cracks me up when they blame me. It's the red dragon. No, he had typhoid. He died from typhoid because his immune system was compromised. Second one is cholera. Cholera is more common because it deals with urine and fecal matter. Next to fevers, and it's cholera followed by dysentery, and Gardenia and dysentery are cousins, so I put those 2 together. And then we had the E. coli family, and towards the end, hepatitis is the big thing. I replaced malaria with salmonella because
malaria is not too much around here in the United States,
right? But hepatitis and salmonella, they're tied neck to neck. So you have to be careful. If you could get hepatitis, you could get salmonella. And salmonella can happen anywhere. It could happen at your house. It could happen in your bottled water. It could happen at the restaurant. Only takes one unclean act to cause that.
Yeah.
That's hepatitis or salmonella.
Where's that other one? Okay. Go back.
Hi, Tasha.
There we go. Hey, Tasha. Idaho Garden Girl. All right. So, yeah. Now, like Al said, there's 4 of the ones on this list here that are not everywhere.
Froze again.
There's some of these are down only in the southeast.
It has to be tropical weather.
South
or southeast.
Hot, wet, moist.
Right.
Okay, but some of the others are all over the United States.
Right.
You got your third one down is your E. coli. Now, with these pathogens, folks, again, those of you who saw this, I'm just repeating for those who have just come in. These are the pathogens on the far left column. The next column is the associated disease, your health risk. And then the far right column is persistence. Repeat, persistence in drinking water supplies. All right, so the water supply becomes contaminated. How is it? How long do you have to worry about it? Well, like on the second one there, it's a long time. It's hard to kill. A couple of others are moderate, and others it may multiply if the conditions are right. Some of these are hard to kill because they don't want to dump a ton of chemicals into the water.
Right, and some of the chemicals are harsh on the water pipes. Like Flint, Michigan, we all know because they had a sewer leak before they had the water contamination. So what happened? They put chloriniform or chlorinagol or clean. You know what I'm talking about.
One of those, probably it may have been chloramine, but I think it was something a little bit stronger than the chloramine.
Right, and it was corrosive because everybody was wearing hazmat suits to deliver the water into the system to flush out the pipes. And these were 100-year-old pipes, folks.
Yeah, so it broke down all the contaminants in it. But so if you are in a disaster, hurricane, obviously you're going to see flooding and you can be worried about water supply. But if you're in tornadoes and stuff, and if there is a centralized water supply system, the concern is with buildings being damaged and by the tornado, was the water system compromised some way? And so people have told me, oh, well, the water's under pressure. It's going to blow all the contaminants out. I spent 20 years working in underground construction. I can tell you the way water works, you could be under pressure, but it surges and oscillates its stuff, and it'll suck stuff down in a couple seconds. And the pressure comes back, but then it's down in the pipe and it's going along. If an area of that's contaminated has a pool on it, and that pool pressure produces more pounds per square inch than what's in the water pipe, it'll intrude upon the water pipe. For an earthquake, earthquakes are absolutely devastating to water supply systems. You get a fault line. It goes like this. The water line going across now going like this. It's now gouging out. The water coming out of this pipe is gouging out and then pushing dirt and everything else back down that pipe there.
Or what's worse is sometimes in the cities in earthquake countries, the water pipe's here and the sewage pipe is right here. And when they split and shift, one goes sewage and one goes into the water. Water goes into the sewage, back and forth. So you don't know what it switched to. So next time you turn on the tap, I'm like, the water kind of tastes chunky today and green.
Yeah, and if you have what when they lay in cities and stuff, they use what's called joint trench. Sewer on the bottom, storm, water, gas, electric. And if the pipes crack and fracture just a little bit from the shifting, it doesn't have to be much. And if pipes crack, they won't know about it possibly for months or even years. And what happened is you get a little spray like from your garden hose out the side, and it starts eating around it, and the water starts flowing down into from the water pipe down to the sewer, and it starts eating out. Also, you have this big old hole. All of a sudden, the pipe goes, and now they just got after 6 months, and now they've shifted. And now you get a lot of water going this different way, and they will find out that, hey, there's a problem with the sewer because also we got a lot of sewer water coming out the sewer pipe. Well, the others still mixing everything together, and it's pressurized, and it's still pushing now pressurized contaminated water in the water pipe.
So you wonder I have this
Yeah.
strange taste in my mouth. Is it
Well,
sewer
it's
water?
not, I don't even, you won't even taste it because the percentage and stuff generally, but it doesn't take much to mix in there with it to contaminate it. And when you start hearing all about your neighbors, people getting sick and stuff, that's the time to raise a flag to your county health department. Say, hey, we had that earthquake, last year. Could any of the water pipes, sewer pipes, been broken next to each other? Now we're getting cross contamination. Generally, I hate to say it, municipalities are slow
Big
to
time.
spend the money to investigate the possibility of something happening. Well, like, unless they see a sign saying, hey, this may have happened, they're not going to just go out and voluntarily spend X amount of money just to see if something happened. There's a possibility it might not have.
Right. Or
They're
worse,
not
they
going to do it.
go ahead. Yeah. But worse, they pump more chemicals in this stupid water line without solving the problem. So you
Mhm.
got corrosive chemicals and sewage in your water.
Yeah. So one of the things to be worried about, to be aware of, is that in your area, know where the water sources are for the municipality or for your own. If you have a well, what's upstream, above ground, how the aquifer flows. Do your due diligence research on your own thing, because I can't tell everyone what their area looks like. You guys got to do your own research on it. I'm not going to research the entire country for you guys.
Right.
I'm just going to give you guys the keys here to go out and look.
And
But
here, go
one of
ahead,
the
Gil.
most important parts on this is, and I've been hammering on it, I know the other Tasha at Mama Bear Prepper's been hammering on it, water storage. Water storage. You want to have enough water stored so that if something happens, you can go several weeks or a month without having to drink that tap water. Basically, you got, if the water becomes contaminated, yeah, you can still probably use it for laundry, depending what it's contaminated with. But you don't want to use it for cooking or drinking.
Right. And if you want to be extra safe on city water, folks, do like Uncle Alan does. Get a heavy duty water filter, not the remove the odors and stains and other thing. Well, I'm talking laboratory grade filters that clean anything in the water, because I am suspicious of sewer water, because who wants to drink brown and green and chunky water?
Yeah. And there are, and we're looking, even we're on city well water here, but we're looking at getting an under the sink water filter system for pulling nitrates out, because we know there are nitrates above normal, but still well within safe drinking levels. But still, we want to get them pulled out. So we're looking at getting possible of a under
Yeah,
sink.
like that.
Yeah, where you have where just for the drinking water, um, and cooking. So this is one of the things we're looking at. You may want to think about getting this for, even if you're on city water, you don't need to have like all three stages. They have some of them that all you only need is just like a
One.
two or just a single one, where it has the filter to remove the nitrates, and the other one is just to remove chlorine and other, of the chlorine, chloramine, and fluorides from the water. So just food for thought, folks, to
Right. We're at the top of the hour, Gil.
Yeah, to take that extra step to make sure your water system is for
Froze again.
that your water system's all safe for your family. Take these extra steps. Um, coming up Friday on Camppatton Family Compound, my other channel, excuse me, on the Friday night on the homestead, we're going to talk about ways to extend your growing season. And we're not just going to talk about ways to extend it into fall. We're going to talk about ways you can prep to extend it bring it back into spring towards winter a little bit, so you can get a jump start on the spring growing season. Then next week, here on Tactical Tuesday on GrayMan Prepping. Next Tuesday is going to be emergency communications. What's your
Froze again.
What's your plan? What's your backup plan? And what's your oh crap plan?
Okay, what I'm doing is lesson 2 on how much food can you raise. I have to convert it from metric into square feet for a family of 4 to raise about a family of 4 for 1 year, 9,000 calories. This is important, folks, because a lot of you guys are still have no idea what you're doing on your homestead.
All right.
Because if you go ahead, Gil.
Go ahead with that.
Because if you're growing a summer garden and you're not concentrating on getting calorie count off of your food, you're going to be in big trouble. And I'll explain that in detail in my next video because I had to break it up into 4 segments and it's a lot of work.
Okay. Right now, there's something I want to add to everybody out here before everybody ducks out of here. One of the channels I like following, Audra, which is Homesteading in Idaho, did 2 videos yesterday and today about stocking up your pantry. So this is what her channel, the homepage looks like, Homesteading in Idaho. She's at 489 subscribers. Her last 2 videos were on stocking up your pantry. Yesterday's was stocking up on an Albertson sale. She had the flyer, went through what the stuff she got there. Today she went through the over where she is over there by Boise. They have what's called Ridley's Supermarket, which is basically part of the Food Club store brand. And they were talking about their big sale they got going on, their case sale. So, and there's some excellent prices that people, if you don't know about it, check out your local stores and stuff. Anybody that's on the Food Club circuit, and see what they have, because right now is the time when most of those stores start kicking off their sales. But so
right.
good stuff on stockpiling your pantry.
Right, and tomorrow night, Tasha that's Prep for is not doing a live tomorrow because she's still healing from dental surgery.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, and Idaho Girl says there's a Ridley's near her. So yeah, you may want to go check out the Audra's video today. It's yeah, you got to be. It's hers is actually moving up in the searches, so it's getting easier to find. But it's Homesteading in Idaho, and the circle has her and her husband and 2 boys in it. So, all righty. So we're going to wrap that up here, and hopefully everyone has been given some thoughts on their water supply to check it out and to be prepared just in case. Because hey, there's still a lot more storms coming, and we're getting it coming. There's going to be a lot of winter storms coming in, and I have a feeling there's going to be a bit of extra
monsoon weather
flooding around the United States. And there's some of the areas I have a feeling that are quote under droughts are going to have surprise amount of water here. Not maybe enough to end the drought, but too much at one time, and so there'll be some problems.
Right. Like I said, it'll be the Northeast and Northwest is going to get hit with 2 monsoons. One is going to hit next week in the Northwest. This week, I have no idea because I lost track of it because it's either going to hit the East Coast or it's going to head north.
Yeah. All righty, folks. We're going to wrap it up here. Thank you for coming in. Also, check out everybody else's channels there in the side chat. There's some great channels out there. And we'll see you on Friday on the Homestead on my Camppatton Family Compound channel. All righty. So take care. And